They won't come anywhere near me, but I brought my protection just in case.
Police dog handling was first introduced at the turn of the century, but dogs were not fully utilised in the force until the 1960s, when it became easier to transport them to different jobs. Nowadays, police dogs are used for a whole range of different tasks, and they're split into different categories. Sniffer dogs are trained to find drugs and explosives, but the dogs here today are known as general purpose dogs.
The dogs are trained to track people, and so they're used at recent burglaries to track away recent scents. They are searching dogs, and they're used to search buildings where people might have broken into and that sort of thing. They're also the dogs used for hunting for missing persons. And on top of that, we also use them for what we call the man work, which is the crowd control, chasing and detaining people. These dogs really are your general purpose dogs, and they do most things which are required in the police service.
How do you actually go about training the dogs?
Initially, once we've selected a dog which we deem suitable, he will go away on a full-time course of 3 months, and that is when he was taught all his basic exercises. At the end of that 3 months, if he's suitable, he will be licensed and passed out, and then he will become a patrol dog. And after that, he will attend at least 2 training days a month, so that you can develop his expertise and make him into a better, more efficient working animal.
At their regular fortnightly training days, the dogs will go through all parts of the police schedule, developing their tracking and searching abilities, obedience skills and man work, such as the chase and attack exercise demonstrated for us by Sergeant Emery and a very brave police constable.
Basically, you have got a criminal who will be secreted somewhere and make himself known shortly. You have a dog handler who is arriving with his dog, and when he sees the criminal, he will challenge him.
Hey you, police officer with the dog, stand still! Stand still and attend this job! Stop, John! Stand still and attend this job!
You will now see the criminal coming away from his cover. He's been seen by the dog handler. The dog handler is now challenging him. The dog will cover the ground far quicker than the criminal, and when he arrives at the criminal, he will detain him by biting him on the right arm. Once the criminal has been stopped and detained, the handler will then join his dog. As soon as the handler is convinced that the criminal is no longer a threat and has ceased to struggle, he will then call the dog away from the criminal. The dog will then release the criminal and come back to the handler.
Within the police force, dog handling is regarded as a very prestigious post. It requires a huge amount of commitment for a minimum period of 7 years. I asked Jill Jenkins, the only female in the Sussex Police Dog Unit, what she believes makes a good handler.
You have to be able to bond with the dog. That means that just so long as you can work with it, the dog understands you. You've got to be able to obviously train it, and voice control, physical ability, all play a good part in whether you are a good dog handler.
Do you think it's more difficult for a woman than it is for a man?
A very difficult question. Physically, just so long as we're as fit as a man, I don't see any reasons why not. Obviously, if we were given an absolutely huge German Shepherd or dog to work, it would be difficult for us to lift it over fences. But then there's women that are as strong, if not stronger than men. It's not always physical strength that makes you good on the dog section, just so long as you're fit.
Despite the dangers, these dogs are beautiful, affectionate animals, and like any other dog, they work to earn the love of their owner and, of course, for the reward that comes after a job well done. For most police dogs, this reward is the right to play with their favourite toy. This is reflected in the qualities handlers look for in potential new canine recruits.
If we're looking for a general purpose dog, we are looking for a dog which is fairly bold. He'll come up to you and he won't be afraid of you. But we don't want one over-aggressive. So if you go up to him, he won't be afraid of you, but he will come up and he'll make a fuss of you. When you sort of knock at the door, he'll bark when you come in. So that's the sort of temperament you're looking at. For other qualities, we obviously look for a good nose work dog. And so we're looking for a dog which will readily retrieve, because if it will retrieve and play with a ball, then the chances are it will make a good nose work dog. And similarly with the man work side, we look for a dog which would like to play with a rag and sort of, you can rag it and play with it and play quite vigorous games without the dog being upset by it. So that's the sort of dog, the sort of temperament you're looking at.
The Sussex Police Dog Unit is always looking for new dogs. They rely heavily on gift dogs, those donated by the public. If you have a dog that fits this bill and you need to find a good home for it, look no further than the Sussex Police. They're waiting for your call.